Hey, it's me, it's PLD. And welcome to Class Action, the classiest movie show on the interwebs. I don't know, I'm trying to do it. I couldn't. If you saw last week's episode, we had a kind of a revolution, a revolt from the crew. They had some of the shittiest takes I've ever seen in my life. If there's a short on the YouTube page, if you want to go check it out, they somehow voted Alien Resurrection in, and they voted it over Alien 3. Now, I know for a long time I've always said that I can like a movie, but depending on the categories, the other movie could possibly win. But there is no universe where Alien Resurrection can possibly be seen in any which way better than Alien 3. So I fired them. So I looked around. I tried to find some emergency co-hosts. I couldn't get anybody this week. I got somebody. He's not exactly happy to be here, but he's a little bit under duress. But I did get him to come. I hope you welcome him. My fellow too mediocre white dude, PJ Campbell, is going to come here to talk about this week's Alien movies. PJ, thank you so much for appearing, man. I don't know what to do without you.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Well, that is true. But you
man, look, I told you not to go through with the episode. I told you what was going to happen. You didn't listen to me. Now look what happens. You're without a co-host. You're out here running on the interwebs by yourself, which, number one, a white dude on the internet by himself should never be left alone. And now look at this. Look at this shit.
It's a very scary thought, I gotta say. So I don't know how we're gonna move on with the crew.
Did they die on their way home to their home planet? That's the thing from The Simpsons, right? Matty and Jarvi, you know.
Exactly. That's it. We're gonna talk to them again. Maybe they got canceled. We can't even speak their name again. That might be happening. But okay. Wait. Actually, I'm sorry. Can you vamp for a second? I got a phone call.
No, I can't. I mean, yes, I can. Why are you taking a call live on air? This is why we can't have nice things. You see the shit that I deal with here? He's always telling me what I need to be doing during the week. He's always pushing me around, telling me what to watch. Now I have to get on this fucking thing because he doesn't have another co-host. He takes a goddamn phone call. Look at this shit. Unbelievable. Did you really just take a phone call?
I did. I saw it was something important. It had to be dealt with.
Important? More important than your fucking show that you're live on air on YouTube doing right now?
Oh, I trusted you. I know you could vamp for a couple of seconds. I knew you could make it work because you're a great host. It goes. But PJ, you're off the hook. You are off the hook.
Wait. I took a day off of work to do this.
He's off the hook, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to say that PJ Campbell is off the hook. He can go back to his day job of, I don't know, drinking and watching movies. That's his day job, I think. His night job might be boring. I don't know. But either way, his day job is that. I got a phone call. Matty, Gunner, Richard-Erik, Jarvi, both in the same line, begging for their jobs back, groveling, down on their knees. They said they were wrong, which is all I really need to hear. They said that they were wrong. They offered to come back and give me back 2 times their salary because they love hanging out with me so much. So I decided I'm going to let it happen. It's going to be okay. I'm willing to forgive and forget. But like Joe Piscopo said in Johnny Dangerously, once.
You done? Are you finished or are you done?
I think I'm done.
And I'm Richard-Erik, Jarvi.
And I'm Matty, Gunner, and this is apparently Class Action where, you butcher people's accents, but that's fine. PJ would never. But
well, PJ is a better man than I am. That's always been the case. We know this. This is true. All right, fine.
Is he out of the backstage? Is he out of the chat room?
Oh no, he's there. He's hanging out for a little bit. He now that I kicked him out, he's refusing to leave. That's just how he is, though. He always refuses to leave.
Just don't let him on screen with me. That's all I'm asking for.
Why?
Hey, look at this guy. Look at this bald motherfucker over here. Hey, wow. Matty, it's good to see you.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's just, I'm happy to see you.
I'm really happy to see you. You look great. The lighting looks awesome. The red lighting. I'm a big fan of that.
Thank you, man. I learned from you, and I would never butcher your accent, by the way, like some people on this stream.
Well, do you want to try? You could try.
No, absolutely not, because I respect Matty, unlike the other guy. that we have on here from time to
The
time.
other guy. Now I'm just the other guy, and the other two meter.
Not talking about you.
Oh, okay.
The one that
Jarvi.
you kicked backstage. The
I
one
didn't
that
kick him
you-
backstage. He did. He left.
Oh, well, I mean, that's fair. Do you blame him?
That's not.
It's hard to be on screen with this many handsome people all at once, to be honest.
That is true. That is very true. I can't help it. He's a great. These guys are very good at what they do overall. That's why I was willing to take them back, because generally speaking, they are good at what they do. Everybody's allowed one shit take.
Yeah, we're real good at what we do.
They're real good at it, other than the avatar of it all. But I shouldn't kick anyone while they're down when they're real excited about a movie that's opening this week that they apparently waited 13 years for. But we all make choices in life. That's all I'm saying.
But hey, you are going to see it on Thursday. That's correct.
Well, James Cameron had to get my money somehow.
Well, at least you're giving it a shot. I will give you that. I'm going to see it too. Probably just the one place. Jarvi has said he's going to see it in like 500 different theaters, 600 different forms.
Yeah, he has tickets for every showtime across the board for like 3 weeks straight, which I thought was a little excessive, but again, we all make choices.
Right, we do.
Speaking of tickets for shows booked out a long time, PJ, I saw the Back to the Future musical.
I know you did, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I saw it with our good friend Rachel Silverstreamy, and I had a great time.
I'm very proud of you for going to musical theater.
I'm not a musicals guy. I've been
I
to
know.
one my entire life.
I'm so proud of you. I'm actually proud of you, even if it was just Back to the Future. But you enjoyed yourself. That's what matters,
right?
I'm really happy.
I had a great time. Maybe I'll go to another musical at some point soon.
I think you should.
Maybe if they do an Alien Resurrections musical, I'll go to watch that.
Okay, with that, motherfuckers, I'm out. Peace.
All right. All right, PJ is out. Jarvi is bad because we can't have them on the same screen at the same time. I guess it does cause some kind of vibrant shift in the Earth's tectonic plates. I don't know what's going on, but maybe he'll come back next week when we do Avatar versus Avatar 2. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Can I just say I love you, PJ? PJ is the best of us. He's awesome. I know Jarvi's scowling at me and seething with rage, but
you guys have your opinions on Avatar and PJ. I'm just going to leave it there.
Fair enough. All right, let's do this. Bid is over. Welcome to Class Action. This week we are taking just go with it. We are taking on a set of movies which I'm actually happy and sad to say won't cause quite the controversy as last week, because I think we both actually like both of these movies. Alien Resurrection is nothing. Alien 3 is great. But Prometheus and Covenant both are worthy watches. So I can't wait to actually get into these movies. I rewatched them both, and I was happy with what I've seen. And I will say overall that I had a problem initially with Covenant the first time I saw it. And like Jarvi said after a rewatch, I've actually gotten over my initial hesitations, and I do like it quite a bit. Did you guys have any new discoveries overall?
You're ready for Covenant now that you know what it's about. I think the initial problem was that you were expecting something else. To me, it keeps getting better with each rewatch.
I think part of it had to be like my initial watch was the disappointment of how it kind of veered away from the Prometheus direction and kind of veered a little more back into the original Alien universe. Kind of felt like he was giving it to the fans, like he was selling out to the fans and not telling the story he wanted to tell. So once we get out of that, then I'm like, okay, I get what he's doing. I'm on board now. What about you, Matty?
Question for the panel. Was this marketed as an Alien movie when it first came out?
Prometheus?
Yeah.
Prometheus. It's funny you mentioned that. It was one of those movies that it was in discussions for a long time with Ridley Scott, and he mentioned it. At first, they didn't say it was an Alien movie. Quite right. I mean, I think before it came out, I think it eventually did make it if I remember correctly, like before it came out, it did make it would make it something that was an alien movie. That was kind of said it was an alien movie, but it took a long time before they admitted it.
Okay, that's what I remember, because I wasn't sure if I was just making it up and that they said no, this isn't an alien movie, blah 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 blah, and then it took them a while for it to. But when I first watched Prometheus, I was very much like, okay, whatever. But now that I've watched it back, and I think now that I have more of I guess it's more now I have a more analytical mind for movies, from watching you guys when you were doing the original Class Action and AMA and shows like that now, like sitting back and watching it, like I definitely have a newfound appreciation for it. Alien Covenant, we'll get to that.
Alien, I mean, Prometheus is the only Alien movie that hasn't got the word alien in its title. Right. So that was kind of already kind of a hint that this is going to be a different kind of approach to the franchise, sort of a deviation from it. It loosely had the alien stuff in it, but I think it was a stronger movie for it.
I think so too. I understood the fans. I do understand the fans that kind of revolted at first, because if you went in wanting an alien movie, this is far from a typical alien movie.
Yeah, for sure.
The most different from them. So, and that's why, and obviously he kind of course corrected a little bit, and we got definitely a far more regular, shall I say, alien movie in Covenant than we did for Prometheus. But I loved the direction Prometheus took, and I wanted to see him take more swings that way. I still would like that. I still holding out a little bit of hope that we might get the third film in this trilogy. I know there's a lot of other alien things in discussion. The TV show coming is produced by Scott. There's another movie that's in preparation.
Is a TV show coming?
There is a TV show that they're developing for Alien. There's also preparation for a movie by Fede Alvarez, who did the Evil Dead remake that Ridley Scott liked the pitch, and he's going to do it. But I've also heard that Ridley Scott is still holding on to the idea of continuing his own saga. I don't know. Give me all.
Well, he's getting up there.
Yeah, well, you know what? He is. But if John Williams can score at 90, and Ridley Scott.
Whoa! You're not comparing those two. I can't let you do that.
I'm just talking about accomplished people in their older age. Harrison Ford at Indiana Jones is 80.
That's different. Harrison Ford's a freak. Shout out to the movie guys with the Ford Fiesta. I watched that last night. It's hilarious. Go watch that. But Harrison Ford is a freak in nature. Like, the man has crashed the plane how many times and is still with us?
No, that's true. Yes, I know PJ. I know he's in the chat, so I know John Williams is retiring. I get that, So, one score left of the Indiana Jones saga. It comes to its close. But all right, let's get into this episode then today. Of course, we have a couple of different categories we do. This is what we do. We put up 2 films, 2 franchises, 2 actors, 2 directors, put them up against each other, come up with some categories, and throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and who's going to be our victor? Who's going to be judged victorious by the end of the episode? This is going to be a hard one. We have often found that we might love one movie, and yet you put the categories in, and it just shakes things all to shit.
There it is.
As it did last week.
There it is. But, I agree with you there. If one movie is superior to the other, the categories, man.
I feel like Jarvi kind of got caught in the crossfires between me and Paul yesterday. I feel like he was collateral damage that I somehow dragged over to my side with my snake charmer like reasoning.
The divorce was harsh.
Maybe it could be. That could be the case. But either way, let's get into our game. We have a little pre-game that we do before we get into the categories. We still haven't updated yet. Probably not until the beginning of the new year. That's what I'm going to say. This is going to actually might become our bit where we always promise to continue to change this game.
We never actually do. Ed Harris.
What would Ed Harris play? We love this game. We thought Ed Harris as the greatest character actor of all time, in my opinion. We put him in every movie that we're recasting. We recast him somehow, either by recasting him in a role or we introduce him in a new role. And obviously he's going to make the movie better because Ed Harris is that kind of guy. You put him in a movie, it automatically becomes better. So we have Alien, Covenant, and Prometheus. Where are we going with this? Jarvi, go with first. Why don't you go first with your Prometheus version of Ed Harris?
Okay, so the way that I'm going, I really can't have him in Prometheus.
Oh.
I can only have him in Covenant. So I'm just gonna say what my Covenant is.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll do that. We're very lax on the rules. I get that.
Because the way that I want to cast Ed Harris, so this is not a recast, is I want to create a new role for him. Okay. And also use this opportunity to change the direction of Alien Covenant to what I actually wanted the continuation of Prometheus to be. Okay. So when the crew gets to the planet, they find David there, but they also find one surviving engineer. Now that guy is played by Ed Harris, and David and Ed Harris have been having a one-on-one freaking like death match. Neither of them have been defeated by the other one. So it's sort of like a prey thing going on. They hunt for each other. And now the crew gets in there and they get caught in the crosshairs. And David sort of, the reason why he wants the alien to be created is so he can defeat the last surviving engineer.
Oh, wow. I really kind of like that. I really like that.
Because I feel like what the alien needs is the alien version of Prey.
That would be phenomenal. We've already had the Predator version of Prey. We might as well do the alien version too. I like that idea.
And actually, Ed Harris's engineer's goal is to, because he's the only last remaining engineer. There probably needs to be a better word for their race than engineer, but he wants to sort of restart the population, somehow clone himself or clone more, engineer or something like that.
There you go, William
but
Harold,
David wants to get rid of them.
I do like that idea. William Harold definitely wants to see the Jarvi movie. Matty, I was going to defer to you, but I kind of feel like I have to go next because actually my roles are very similar in idea to Jarvi's in a way. I would have him in both movies still. I would have Ed Harris as the engineer in Prometheus that ends up like destroying David, everything else. He is the actor who does that. But obviously he's a little designed differently, but I don't have much to say on that. It's just you put him in that role. I think he's kind of got that. He's kind of military vibe to him. He kind of fits that vibe to him. I think that's good. Now, what I would do in Covenant instead is I would also have the engineer there, but he's not a surviving engineer. He's a engineered engineer, if you will. It's a David experiment who is trying to clone something of the original engineers. He's trying to experiment on life. And he wants to, because the engineers are such like, he saw how badly they ripped him apart and everything else. He wants to create his own killing machine. And just like the alien, the engineer was like a different type of experiment, if you will. So not only do you have Ed Harris as almost like, I'll say a little bit of Star Wars here. It's like a docile engineer that David can control. And he ends up having, so the crew has to end up facing Ed Harris, the engineer, throughout the caverns. I got to go there. Before Matty, before I can see you, Kelly, you got to rewind. They
got to rewind.
Rehired.
They literally paid their dues specifically. So rewind, you'll find out what happened there. Yeah. All right, Matty. So what would you say about your versions?
I'm going to continue with my casting from last week. You can't convince me that Guy Pearce would be better than Ed Harris as well, especially like a more elderly Wayland that's like supposedly like meant to be dying,
yes,
but still has the strength to get on a ship and fly to another planet. Let's be fair, the only man, I mean this with all due respect to Ed Harris, he's getting up there in years. He's what, in his 70s now?
Yeah, he's 71, 72, I believe it is.
72, right? What other 72-year-old man who is dying could get on a ship and go to another planet? There's only one. Is Ed Harris?
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
And what was the reason for Guy Pearce to be in the movie? He was only there. Paycheck, he was only aged down. There was no young version of. I think there was something in Covenant, right? Some like flashback.
It was a flashback of David learning.
But there was no reason for him to no reason at all for him to be in Prometheus.
The real version.
Oh, sorry, my bad. That was my Prometheus casting. I forgot we were doing Covenant.
Yep.
But
no, because I had no Prometheus cast, so that's why I went Covenant first.
I go that William Harold. Hear me out. Ed Harris as Charlize Theron. If I wasn't concerned about replacing a female, that actually would work well.
Have Idris Elba hook up with Ed Harris?
I don't care at that. I'd be okay with that. I'd be jealous of Idris Elba, but I mean, I'm okay with that.
If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
I mean, come on. I mean, Ed Harris would be great in Idris's role also. I'm not going to lie. He'd be getting that role as well. He'd be getting other roles, But, all right. Well, there we have it there. I think Jarvi wins this week, though.
I think so.
I like my idea, but I like the idea of putting Ed Harris against Michael Fassbender and having the crew caught in the middle. I kind of do like that idea as well. So we'll go with Jarvi winning to that this week.
Mine was just a continuation from last week. I really didn't.
And I'm trying not to. I'm not trying to remember anything from last week, so we're good there. So. All right, let's get into the crux of the show, the meat and potatoes, as we will. The 5 categories we have come up with. Now, we had 5 categories that we used for both of the last 2 episodes for Alien and Aliens, and then Alien 3 and Resurrection. We continued that as best we could. Obviously, a few of them we had to switch up a little bit, namely categories 1 and 2. Number 1 went from better Xenomorph to better Alien, because we obviously have Covenant has much more aliens than Prometheus does, but Prometheus also has the engineers and other aliens like that. So a better Alien instead of Xenomorph. We didn't want to get caught up in that word. And of course, number 2, there was no better Ripley because Ripley's not in these movies. So instead, we're going to go with better David, because David is in both these movies by played by the fantastic Michael Fassbender. And we will talk about Walter as well, although we couldn't make that really part of the thing because he was only in Covenant, of course. So we're just going to go better David. But the other three...
Jarvi, has anyone ever told you in some lights you kind of look like Michael Fassbender?
Oh, wow. I'll take that. I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to say...
in some lights you do. I can see it.
Fair enough. The other 3 categories we do have are better crew, better premise and tone, or better rewatch. And better rewatch. Those are the 3 of the 5 categories we're going to get into. Let's get right into better alien design. We will start with you, Matty Gunner.
So this one was tricky because better aliens and better alien design, like how many variations of the Xenomorph can you do before we're like, okay, cool, we've seen the same thing. Again, I'll go back to the if it wasn't an alien movie, I'd probably like love it more thing. Like a story, find out we were created by this ancient race of sentient beings and they've developed this way to eradicate all of us if they so choose to. And they look kind of cool, but it's the way I gotta go. Shit, this is tough. If they'd have left out all the experiment stuff with them being like David's creations and stuff, I feel like it took a bit of the oh fuck factor out of the Xenomorphs for me, because growing up, I always used to think like, oh, these are these species from another world that if they came down on this planet, we could do next to fuck all about doing. But then they were created by something that we were created, so we essentially created them, and it's just like, okay, like so that kind of took a little bit of the fear factor away from me. But the engineers, we know like next to nothing about them, and they could just snap their fingers essentially and we're gone, and that's terrifying. So I gotta go Covenant, just because the Xenomorphs are so bloodthirsty and like reckless in this movie. They're not like the Xenos in Aliens 1, 2, and Resurrection. They are just like out to kill. There's no like psychological thriller with it. Yeah. It's just find, maim, and destroy.
I agree with that. I see where you're coming from that. All right. Just before we go on, PJ doesn't agree with Matty about Jarvi looking like Fassbender. Does think he could be an Avatar, though, which I actually can see that.
Wow, PJ, is that the first?
That's the nicest thing he's ever said.
Because he doesn't like Avatar, so I know it's not a compliment, but it's a compliment to me.
I do want to interject. I did watch Avatar last night in preparation for Avatar 2.
So we're covering it next week.
I did like it better than I remembered, but overall, I still think it's kind of forgettable. Still, I will say. Overall.
I know it's so cool to hate Avatar, so I forgive you. I know you want to be cool. I know it's okay. It's okay. You're cool. You're cool.
It was fine. I'm trying to give it a compliment. It was fine.
You're so cool right now, PLD. You're so cool, man. Hate some more. The coolness is.
All right. What about you, Jarvi? Do you hate some aliens in Covenant versus Prometheus, or what are we doing here?
I don't hate. I celebrate. I think Matty said it best with Covenant. The aliens and these are the xenomorphs in there. Prometheus doesn't really have a xenomorph. It has variations of the alien that it's sort of transitioning into. But in Covenant, they truly are like just killing machines, hunters. The way they go through the tall grass, just like mowing down crew members left and right.
Right.
The way that the friggin' thing comes through the back of a crew member, that is, dear God, one of the most terrifying alien scenes
literally
ever.
Unzips his spine.
It's so gnarly. I mean, Ridley Scott, I don't think he's ever done a scene which is more terrifying or gnarly and just gory.
Yeah,
but I think Prometheus does something very well, and it just shows you the true brute force of the sort of the weird alien in between spawn, let's call it that, because we see the engineers communicate with the humans, and we see how powerful they are. There's just one flick of the hand, one throws away. He raises David up. He could just, with the snap of his finger, destroy all humans. Then we see how much he's struggling against the white alien that's sort of trying to impregnate him.
Yeah.
So that sort of gives you the idea how freaking powerful it is, and the death match that keeps happening between them, I think, is a very cool thing. I love that the alien is white in that one, so we haven't gotten to that black xenomorph yet. But I think Alien Covenant still, with all of its gnarly freaking, the backburst scene alone kind of does it for me. But the way, and also we can talk about the spores and the way the aliens sort of get inside the humans. It's sort of a new thing. The spores, they go through your ear. It's sort of like a very terrifying thought that something just could go into your nostril, mouth, ear. Right. You just scratch, and the friggin' thing impregnates you. That's you can do nothing against that. It's unstoppable.
Right, yeah. So you don't even notice. Like, I mean, obviously, at the beginning, you have to see the alien had to like get in your face and stick in your throat there. You knew what was going on. You knew something was going down. In this case, I agree with you. You got the whole idea of getting in there. You just don't know how. You all of a sudden you're just sick and like, holy shit, what's going on?
Did you guys ever hear Charlie Hunnam's story about when he was shooting a movie in, I think it was Mexico or somewhere, and when he was asleep one night, this like this small moth went in his ear, and he woke up and he couldn't hear anything, and it ruptured his eardrum inside. Shit. And when he went to the doctor, they pulled this moth thing out of his ear, and I would like, ever since I heard that story, I'm terrified of like falling asleep and like something crawling in my ear. So like mentioning like the spores and stuff going in your ears, like no.
Did it happen in San Francisco?
San Francisco.
Kaiju.
Don't start talking bad about Pacific Rim. PJ will nuke this stream.
I think
he hates Pac Rim too.
No, he loves Pac Rim.
He loves Pac Rim. He hates Pac Rim too. But I will also, William Harold saying the octopus alien birth scene wins this category on its own for Prometheus. That's pretty good too.
I mean,
that is pretty good. That is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good point. I had a tough time with this one. I'm not gonna lie. There's just so many of the xenomorph like creatures in Covenant at different levels of of where they are in their development. So I like seeing that. I do like seeing. I was scared. You said it already. The back burst scene, which by the way, it made me even more terrifying. I think, by the actress who is caught up in there with her, like that. Oh yeah, she sells it perfectly. Let me out! Oh my god!
She has one of those like horror movie faces or horror movie reactions. She's perfect in that one.
It just really sells it, and of course, the other you have the one on the other side selling it just as well too. I can't let you out. She's terrified watching it. I can't open this door. It's a very powerful sequence. I do love all the aliens we get. I love that when Billy Crudup shoots the one alien, that he is like, when David's like, no, and I love that alien creature as well. Prometheus, I do love the engineer design. There was something about the engineer design that really kind of was striking, and it caught my eye. Like every time the engineer was on the screen, I couldn't not look at him.
So otherworldly.
It was, but familiar the same way, because he had that. It was a great storyline idea that they created us, and it was kind of like in the theme of themselves,
in God's image, kind of
their image, exactly
in the image of themselves. So it's just hard. It was a great design that it ended up looking human, but not at all human. So I really did appreciate that as well. I think, I don't know. I went back and forth. I'm still kind of trying to decide right now as we speak. I did vote Covenant initially. I'd written my note Covenant. I'm almost convinced to go to Prometheus just because of the engineers alone.
So, question. So, both of you included the engineers in that argument, did you?
Oh yeah, yes,
yeah.
Okay, because I didn't. I only took the versions of the aliens and put them against one another. Because
So I
That
believe
would
the
kinda change
engineer
it
is
for
an
me.
alien. Oh, it is? Okay,
Well,
you can change
true,
it
true,
over.
true. But in that sense, sort of, they aren't
Okay.
the main threat or the killers
Right.
in that
Well,
sense.
if that does change your vote and you want to change your vote, I will let you. I mean, you can do that.
Shoot. So you wanted us to
I think we should include the engineer
consider
because
the aliens.
they're an alien. They're an alien race, so I think it's part of the category. I would think.
Even with the engineers
think it's-
included, I'm still going Covenant.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer for me to then go Prometheus.
Okay.
Definitely, because I think the aliens, exactly what you said, they are sort of awe-inspiring. When he stands up, when he talks, I mean, everything about them is, even their like physique. When at the beginning, when it takes, it's like friggin' ripped to shreds, like, I mean, ripped out of his mind, like, sort of, yeah, you feel like these are like demigods or something.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. Then I'm gonna have to go with Prometheus. I like Covenant is more about quantity of aliens as far as that. It's not that it's not quality, but Covenant has more. But I think that quality of the engineer, like I was just getting into, I think that wins it for me as well. So I think I got to go Prometheus as well. Even though
it's interesting.
In Covenant.
I don't know if you noticed, but the engineers in Covenant aren't the same kind of engineers that are in Prometheus. So when David bombs the planet, they are like sort of human looking.
Right. Yes.
They have faces, they have eyeballs, because the engineer in Prometheus, he looks more alien. Like a clone, like an engineered engineer.
Yeah,
you said it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on then to the next category. You got instead of better Ripley, we got better David. Let Matty read this one off.
I find this is an interesting one because for me, Alien Covenant kind of, how do I put this? It made his character in Prometheus more interesting to me because in Covenant, it's like he's Dr. Frankenstein essentially, but in Alien. But there's some lines that he says in Prometheus, and I pulled them up here real quick. It's like when he's talking to Holloway and he says, "Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same from your creators?" After Holloway tells him like we made you because we could.
Right.
And then the line where he says, "Don't all children really want their parents dead?" That was bone chilling because I was like, an android wanting his human creators dead. This never ends well.
Nope.
And it's like he's almost childlike and immature, yet he's the smartest one in the room at all times. So I feel like Covenant, his character in Covenant serviced how I saw him in Prometheus more.
Okay.
So I think because it's kind of like the old tale of, I guess he's essentially, we go back to like the engineers creating us in their image and like God and all this. He's essentially Lucifer. Like he's the angel who was supposed to like help, and then he fell, like, and then he became Dr. Frankenstein and started creating all these aliens and these monsters that he has this curiosity for humanity and human life, but he also wants to destroy it. And he creates these things that essentially go on to take countless human lives. And I think that's a fascinating character to look at.
So you want to go Covenant then?
I'm going Prometheus.
You're going Prometheus because of the Covenant, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you said it the other way around the first time. You said Covenant.
Yeah.
You said Prometheus makes the Covenant character better, but it's
the Covenant.
Right?
Covenant makes Prometheus more.
Yeah, gotcha.
More
okay, I got you saying that. I will say it's interesting to me, and we mentioned this in our private chat, our pre-chat, but we were kind of coming with the categories. That we initially were thinking about just doing better Fassbender because we wanted to talk about Walter, and that was part of the conversation. But it's really hard to add Walter because what do you do? He's only in Covenant. So better David made more sense, but we wanted to bring up Walter, and it's why I'm going to be voting. I'll get out. I'm going to be voting for Covenant because I think Walter makes David in Covenant a better character. Seeing Walter, seeing the contrast of Walter. Walter is he's the next generation. He's dumbed down in David's eyes.
The Boy Scout.
He is the Boy Scout, exactly. He'd never do anything wrong. Whereas David was very interesting in Prometheus. I did love him. There is a very tough category because he's very interesting for exactly some of the reasons you said in Prometheus. He had those little subtle moments. Prometheus is David's subtle movie where he has a lot of moments in there where you're like, ooh, that's not great. That's not great. I like what you're doing. And Covenant is him to the nines.
Unleashed.
Like he's unleashed is a perfect word for it. He's crazy. He's whacked out at this point. But you said it best, though. He's a child. He's like the smartest child in the universe. He has no maturity level. He just, whatever he can think of, whatever his imagination, he knows he's better than humanity in a way. He's the evolution of humanity in his own mind. So whoever he thinks must be right, must be good. He becomes so arrogant and so powerful. But I love how he gets introduced to David. You bring him in, bring all the crew in. And I love the ending is one of my favorite parts, the switch up. And all of a sudden, that subtle moment where he's talking like Walter, and then she realizes that, oh my God, it's not Walter, it's David. And
what a moment!
He has this just a subtle shift. You know, it'll be okay. Go to sleep. And you're like, oh, fuck yes, fuck yes. This is a David I'd rather have more of because he's more of the David that is. He's found himself to a degree, and he's going to take active. It's much more interesting to the point. Now, Prometheus does make David and Covenant both work and better, but if I'm going to go, I want to see where we are with David now. So I definitely think Covenant's better at this point for me.
I mean, I love this discussion. I love talking about David. I think David is what makes the two Alien movies what they are. It made Prometheus what it is, and I think Matty, you said it. You said such a genius thing when we started. It's like humans created androids, and that android created the alien. So he was sort of a tool, but he was the one who finally engineered the alien. So in that sense, like, to create is to be God. I think at some point they say in Prometheus.
Yeah.
Right.
But humans created an android, and the android now creates. So he's got a God complex. So we're like God creator. So that's the brilliance of Ridley Scott and what he did with Prometheus, I think. But to get back to David, I think in Prometheus he's a more interesting character. I'm not going to say I'm picking Prometheus, but a more interesting character in the sense that you don't really know what he's all about. He sort of has those villainous moments, but he's still this sort of scientific. He has a scientific approach. He wants to know everything. He wants to get in touch with the aliens. He has a curiosity about him, but he's not full-blown villain yet. Covenant, he's a full-blown villain.
Oh, yeah.
And he's freaking enjoying the shit out of it. And I think the final moment where David sort of reveals himself, even the first time I saw the movie, I was expecting it to happen. First off, I was like, okay, he cut his hand off, so it's got to be Walter. But then when I saw the hand off, I figured, okay, it's got to be Walter. Then the more and more he went on, the sort of looks that Walter disguised as David, other way around, you kind of start to put it together. And the final moment when he reveals himself, and I think it ends on such a perfect note because you don't really know what David is going to do with the colonists.
Yep.
He puts the embryos right next to the colonists, but what is the next step? So he doesn't destroy the colonists. He wants those humans doing something.
Well, it's kind of like what he did. I think what he did to Newman Pace's character. He wants to use them as incubators.
He wants to do even more of that.
More experiments in different ways. He's got a lot of embryos there and a lot of things. Now he has endless people to experiment on, almost thousands of people to experiment on, rather than just have one. Obviously, one was used up pretty quickly.
It's such an interesting, and this is exactly why I wrote Prometheus, because like you guys know more as much as anyone, I love analyzing the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what led him to that. And then you look back at Prometheus in the way that like Holloway treats him and stuff, and just says, "Yeah, we made you because we can. Like you're here for a reason." It's just like, I get it. He has this curiosity for life, but he has an absolute disdain for it as well.
Get that? All right, interesting.
I haven't said my ruling yet, but I think I'm going with what Matty said. I think that David in Prometheus is a more different-sided character. I love the Covenant villain, the villain David in Covenant, but I think in Prometheus it's a more interesting David. You don't really know what it's about. In Covenant, sort of, you know what you're going to get. Well, you don't really know what he's going to do, but you know he's a freaking villain. But it's a tough one. It is a tough one.
I can't argue that. And that's why I can't argue that, because I love both.
It's
it's really a flip of the coin. You could convince me. You keep talking, I might say maybe Prometheus is the better one for David. Just want to say hi to Alan in the chat. Of course, announcement. Good to see you. No, we're not this week yet, because this is tough though, Alan. I mentioned at the top, I actually like both these movies, so either one of them winning wouldn't kill me either way. I generally like Prometheus better as a movie, but I love
Resurrection. However,
Resurrection isn't even a movie, so it's a little piece of shit. It's a little steaming piece of shit. That Jeff Goldblum meme from Jurassic Park. He's looking at Alien Resurrection.
Life finds a way.
Shit finds a way too. Obviously, in the Alien franchise.
And we seem to be finding a way to piss POD off. So let's move on to the next category.
All right, I'll lead the next category. You got the better crew. Funnily enough, when I put this thing, I thought this was going to be a little bit of a harder. Watching the movies, I thought this was going to be a hard choice for me. But after I looked at I went back and was looking at the category. I brought up both wiki pages and I went through, and I was like, all right, so for Prometheus, you got like New Pace, you got Charlize Theron, you got Idris Elba, you got some great like other like
Sean Harris,
I like lesser actors, Rafe Spall, Logan Marshall Green, not superstar but good supporting stuff. Benedict Wong. I'm like, okay, this is pretty good stuff. And I went back over to Alien Covenant. I'm kind of like, okay, so you got, but on Covenant side, you got Catherine Watterson. Billy Crudup's kind of cool. David Bashir, I've always liked this from I know him specifically from Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film and in the Nun film. And I liked him in that.
I was going to say, you had him on the show.
No, I wish. That'd be cool. Maybe for the Nun 2 when that comes out. No. And then I was like, Danny McBride. I'm like, oh, Danny McBride.
Oh,
awesome.
Danny McBride.
I love Danny McBride in Covenant. But then it's like, and then everybody else. Like I never got the and everybody else with Prometheus. Like it's like each one, I'm like, I like him. I like Covenant, I think Covenant, I got that top four, and then kind of like, and then the rest of the people. So at the end of the day, it ended up being a lot easier decision than I wanted it to be. Danny McBride probably is my favorite of the crew members. Sure. Overall,
by far
from both films, but you got a lot more quantity of quality in Prometheus, so I'm gonna have to give this to Prometheus for those alone. I mean, you got Charlize Theron, who's one of my favorite actresses in the world, and she does phenomenal in this movie. I love her, and she chooses her cold. Like you don't know what she is, and I like the fact that we don't really end up knowing what she is. Is she an android? Is she like a descendant of Wayland? We don't really truly know, but you don't have to know. She knows, but she doesn't give it away, and I love that about it. So it's a very mysterious.
But we do find out.
Well, she says father at some point, but they never actually determined. But that doesn't mean necessarily, because that could have been.
I thought that means that's his daughter.
See, I didn't think that.
I thought the same thing.
See, I always look at it as it could be, but could also hurt as being like sarcastic, because David always would call him father and stuff, and like.
What he says, like a king has his reign and then he dies. She sort of wants to take over.
But
that's why she's so cold. That's why he's been sort of.
But is it like real daughter, or is he just the heir to be in the company kind of thing as well? I never took it as a definitive father statement, which is what I liked about it, but that's fine. PJ saying easily Covenant. PJ, I got to defend yourself. It is Elba in there as well. I mean, Idris Elba's phenomenal. Idris Elba actually almost is Danny McBride for me. He has got that kind of same kind of feel.
They're the same type of character.
Exactly the same type of character for it. And then you got like again, you said before, Sean Harris and Logan Marshall Green, even Rafe Spall. He's got the moments in there which are kind of fun as well. And then you get Patrick Wilson versus James Franco in pictures, and the long lost father scenario, so to speak. At the end of the day,
Patrick Wilson is in this.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, I say that. Okay, so two Fassbenders. Yes, I guess that's why. Which movie has two Fassbenders? But I'm trying to go beyond David. We already had our David category in the Fassbender stuff. So I'm counting the rest of the crew in my answer pretty much. So I'm going to go with Prometheus.
Okay. Jarvi, you want to say next?
Yeah, I'll go. The ones that PLD mentioned, and one that I really want to bring out, it's more of a side character, but Sean Harris was fucking amazing. The way, like, his type of character is, I think that's the type of character that sort of brings out the uniqueness of the crew. Again, go ahead.
Andrew, one quick. William Harold, that you win the day. Too fast, too furious. I'm all good with that. All right.
It has to be from somewhere. That sounds too genius.
I'm sorry, Jarvi. Continue.
But I think you said it beautifully. It's the quantity of quality in Prometheus. I do think Catherine Waterston does a decent job in this one, but she sort of feels kind of like the lesser version of Noomi Rapace, and I don't think that Noomi Rapace was even that good in Prometheus. I think actually Noomi Rapace and Logan Marshall Green are the two most boring characters of the crew, even though they're the lead characters or the sort of heroes that we root for. But I think Charlize Theron, Idris Elba, Benedict Wong, Sean Harris, Rex Paul, they're way more interesting characters.
Yeah,
Idris Elba and Danny McBride, to me, cancel each other out. They are just freaking perfect. I've never seen Danny McBride in a serious role before. This was truly a revelation to me. I hope he keeps doing some of that stuff. I do love his comedic stuff as well. And
he's perfect for that. He's perfect for that kind of role, that kind of action comedy sidekick kind of character, because he doesn't dramatic enough.
He doesn't crack any jokes.
Well, but
no jokes in Covenant.
It's not jokes, but it's more like he leans into some sarcastic vibes and stuff that he gets into, which I that's what I kind of. It's kind of like a Han Solo.
It's kind of like dry humor.
It's not a joke per se.
I don't even think he's very straightforward in this. Is what was my takeaway. But Billy Crudup, I find, was again a very interesting character. Now he's a religious character who has to take the mantle of captain, who the crew doesn't trust. He's very well behaved, but he's a weak leader. That creates a very uncomfortable dynamic in the group. You sort of want him to succeed, but then you see the way he handles shit, and you're like, come on, grow a pair, take charge of the situation. And he never really does. So when the moment comes where David sort of says, go ahead, look in, and the fucking face hugger jumps out of him, you're like, yes, good. Kill that fucker. He wasn't a good leader. but he's a really cool character.
He's a unique character for sure, I think. I would say that. Because you don't all out hate him. You do root for him to a degree, but I understand what you're saying. I like the fact that he's religious. They don't really get on him for being religious.
Yeah.
It's not they really get on him for being that way. It just kind of is. And yet he's also that kind of reluctant leader. He knows he's not a good leader. Doesn't want to be a good leader. But they don't lean into making him into a hero. They let him be that character, which is kind of an interesting choice for the movie, but I think it works for this movie.
Yeah, you're electing someone who is essentially a follower to be a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but Charlize Theron, to me, I had no doubts that she was Wayland's daughter, and I love her arc probably the most because you don't really know why she's so stuck up, so prickly, so arrogant. And when you do finally find out that she has this sort of father complex about her, she wants to be sort of the heir to the throne, but you can see his father doesn't think so. So when all of that happens, you finally sort of put the picture together. You understand why she's like that. And I also love the scene between her and Idris Elba when they're about to hook up. And that's like the one moment of humanity that you see about her. And then
she's hooking up with
they
Idris
don't
Elba.
show it to you. They don't show it to you, but it's implied that they hooked up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
I like that too.
I'm going with Prometheus too. I think the characters are more memorable. They have better moments in there, and better chemistry as a group as well.
So Prometheus, okay. All right, we got that. All right, Matty, what about you?
I love how you guys have taken this completely different way than I have.
Okay.
I took this quite literally, and I had a feeling that I should, because I knew you guys would be better at explaining the value of each crew member's performance. I completely forgot Benedict Wong was in Prometheus until I watched it. So I'm just going to go off the strength of how good were these two crews. And I hate to poo-poo on this whole thing. The Alien Covenant crew sucked.
They do.
You go to this alien planet. You have no idea what's going on. No idea what could be out there. No idea even if you can breathe in the atmosphere. You don't take any protective gear. Not a one piece.
The two soldiers do, or the one soldier does.
Yeah.
Come on, help me to help you, help me to help you. And I love, I can't remember who played him, but Benedict Wong's character, and I think the character's name is Chance, where they have the little side bet on if the $100 bet on if they're actually going to find any aliens. I love that. That was like a perfect little bit of like comedy put in there. Like
Eamon Elliott comedy.
Eamon Elliott. Yes, that was pretty funny.
That was it. And like I've made friends before and like made bets with friends, be like, do aliens even exist? So like I felt seen in that moment. So I'm gonna give it to Prometheus solely for I felt more humanized with the Prometheus crew, and the Alien Covenant crew are just fucking idiots.
Fair enough.
They truly were. That's one of the things that I forgot to mention. Prometheus crew is ready to kick ass. Everyone sort of feels like an expert at what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Covenant is, well, they are colonists, right? They're not supposed to go on that planet and sort of discover or fight off aliens. Right. They're just meant to rebuild the world. But still, I agree that if you're pioneers, you need to be sort of able to, manage unpredictable situations.
And speaking as someone who comes from a country of colonizers, that is a completely terrible idea.
And Matty has said it here first. That might be the clip out of the show. I will say also, interestingly enough, I don't know if you guys ever did any research on Prometheus, like any more further, but there's original casting was a little different. Originally, Noomi Rapace was actually going to be Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron was originally going to be in that role, but then she got Mad Max. And so she couldn't film it. So then, or something to that effect, she got a different role, or she couldn't film it. But then they came back, and her schedule freed up, and that's why they put her into the Meredith Vickers role. Originally playing Meredith Vickers was going to be Michelle Yeoh. Which is interesting.
Oh, they fucked up.
Interesting thing. I mean, Charlize Theron does a great job at the role, so I can't like. Really
I know, but Michelle Yeoh, the Time Magazine's Woman of the Year, shout out her for winning that.
Yeah, absolutely. But just an interesting side thought of things, like in a way, the alternate universe.
What could have been.
And for me, this was interesting. Saying Max in the chat saying Covenant gets his vote. Double the Fassbender, double the trouble. The taste of mint. The great Mike. Double mint and fast. I appreciate that as well.
Fassbender was in this previous category, though.
Yes, Fassbender in the previous category was good. I think Max might be talking overall about the overall film. A lot of people we get people in the chat saying that they're voting overall for their film, which I get. I agree. All right, let's move on then to the fourth category we have.
Sorry, Kelly, correcting me there. Icon of the year. I apologize. I should give her the due respect. Michelle Yeoh got Icon of the year.
And yes, maybe 2023 Best Actress winner Michelle Yeoh. Maybe.
Better, dude.
I hope so. Category number 4, better premise and tone. Premise and tone. This is an interesting category for sure because it comes up the whole crux of my initial issue, I would say, with Covenant. But I led last time, so Jarvi, why don't you lead us off with this one?
I think both movies do exactly what they set out to do. This is definitely a tough category. I think what was expected was different. And when we started the show, we talked about this as well. From Prometheus, people were expecting an Alien Covenant type movie. And when we got that but we sort of got a sci-fi adventure movie. Let's say call it that. From Covenant, people were expecting a continuation of that sci-fi adventure, and we got an alien type movie. So they sort of went against the grain that people were expecting. But again, now that we're sort of used to it, I feel like each movie still did their job very well. This is definitely a tough one for me because Prometheus, I think, is the second best sci-fi movie in the franchise. Alien Covenant is the second best horror movie in the franchise.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
But what it comes down to me, and the reason why I'm picking Prometheus still for its sort of novel idea and the fact that this could easily just be a standalone novel on its own is also the music that Mark Stratenfeld did for this movie. The theme, the score, it sort of has, I don't know, similarities to Man of Steel in the way that it's so simplistic, it's so simple, it's got tones here and there, but
Right.
it gives you this grand sort of feeling that, okay, something larger than life is at play here. Something is created, something, again, I'm going to say the word godlike, but it's not, I say God-like. So there's sort of these revelations when the movie, the tones, the music comes in, it sets the tone so damn well. I can't pick Covenant in this one. Gotta go with Prometheus.
Okay, interesting you said that. Okay. Matty, why don't you go ahead? I'll close this one out.
Adding to the score, yeah, when I was listening to it, I could tell there was a lot of like main use of like just simple root notes and stuff, and much of the building, and it's kind of like the theme of the movie, like the building blocks, foundation to build onto something greater than what we're seeing. Covenant for me, when I think of an alien movie, like I think of psychological horror, like where's it's gonna jump out any moment, where's it coming from? But it doesn't. It's just balls to the wall. We're gonna fucking kill you. We're gonna take the entire crew apart. It's almost more like I think of like a slasher than a psychological horror movie. But Prometheus is such a direct left turn that I'm gonna again continue in my theme from last week of like I respect the hell out of the fact that they just decided to go, okay, we're on this path, we're gonna go that way. And they knocked it out of the park. It wasn't like they went and did a kind of deeper. It's almost a deeper thinking kind of movie where like you're constantly having to reevaluate things, and they're doing it inside the Alien franchise. And if you think about the iterations that come before it, like I didn't even know this was an Alien movie when it first came out. So knowing that now, I'm just like, this is part of that franchise. This should not have been as good as I now think it is. Because before I was just like, but now like knowing it's an Alien movie, I think maybe that's elevated what I think of it. But the massive swing that they took and the left turn that they took to go in this direction, yeah, I'm giving this to Prometheus.
Okay. All right. I don't disagree. Actually, you're both basically saying the same things that I wanted to say. I do think that overall, Alien Covenant is a great tone and great premise. And if you're looking for which is a better Alien movie, Covenant has the better tone of an Alien movie. Prometheus, though, does have a very much a uniqueness of it. I'm always about, it's a Damon Lindelof written script, at least co-write, and he's very good at kind of putting out these very top films and shows ever that make you think about things. They never spell out everything. There's a lot that's always left vague, and that can be dangerous, and that can be tricky, and that can be sometimes very frustrating. But when it's done absolutely right, and I think Prometheus is one of the ones that does it absolutely right, it just makes it intriguing. Because I feel like they do give you enough to kind of fill in the gaps on your own. And you might be different than your friend. I mean, look at this entire thing. You saw it and said that Meredith Vickers was definitively his guy's
daughter.
I didn't take that. And maybe it's because it's Lindelof, and because I knew that. And so I kind of like look into everything a little bit more. I saw it completely differently in a way. But both takes are valid because they never really go on and say anything more than that. They give you the one line, which could be determined because, like I said, because David calls her father as well. There's also a debate out there amongst the fans. Is Meredith Vickers human, or is she actually just an earlier android? That's a possibility too. And if she's an android, she would also call him father. So it's kind of interesting, and she's also very cold and emotionless for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of things you can.
Idris Elba fucks an android.
Absolutely. I mean, we have sex bots, right? Come on. So maybe she's not supposed to let it. Maybe A, she might not even know she's an android, or B, maybe she's not supposed to let on that she's an android, so she'll have sex with him because she's got to pretend like she's real. Because he actually
have sex with Idris Elba. Did you hear what you saying right there?
He asks her, "Are you an android?" He asks her directly.
He does.
And she's like, oh, I better prove I'm not. This kind of thing. Maybe that's what it is.
Get
I don't
in
know.
here.
Get in here. Exactly. I mean, who knows? I like that idea though. So, and in terms of like, I just the idea of it being vague and everything else. And I love the concept of all of a sudden, all right, the engineers created us, but it's not a happy ending that we find that out. Like, I love the fact that we go looking for our God, and our God is this evil, vindictive, not even vindictive, but just evil, uncaring fucker, really.
Mhm.
And I love that
we're playthings to them.
right.
Like David is a plaything to the humans. We are playthings to the engineers.
Conceptually, it's a cool and unique discovery to make, especially when you're putting that in an alien movie.
And you say David
Love that.
Lindelof wrote this?
Yes.
Lucasfilm, get out the damn checkbook.
Yeah, he is. That's what he's doing. He's writing one, so it's good. It's
Mhm.
good. He's writing the Star Wars one after everything else. So I don't know if he actually wrote it or he might have been. I don't think he actually got a credit on the writing of it, but I know he definitely developed the initial script and developed the ideas for it and everything else. So there's definitely a part of it that was Lindelof. He wasn't credited. Oh yeah, he was credited. I'm looking it up now. John Spatz and David Lindelof. So yeah, he was credited as a writer.
Get out the checkbook.
They already got him. They already signed him. It seems like we'll hopefully get more from that soon. I think that's the first Star Wars movie we're going to get. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Prometheus as well. So there we are with that. Final category, number 5. Which one is more rewatchable? If you sit down and watch a movie, what are you going to put on? Prometheus? Or are you going to put on Covenant? Matty, I'll let you start.
Covenant. I need to be in the mood. I need to engage my brain enough to want to sit down and watch Prometheus and take everything in and contemplate everything. This is why it's been so long since I watched it the first time, because I needed a reason to watch it. And I think going forward, like I need a reason to watch it. Covenant, I just want to sit down, watch some gnarly kills and watch a good horror movie, watch a good alien movie. I'm more likely to rewatch Covenant just because when I rewatch something, I'm just going to sit down and be like, all right, flicking through. Oh, Alien Covenant. I haven't watched that in a bit. Boom. Put it on. So Covenant gets my vote.
Okay, that's fair. I'll go next if you don't mind, Jarvi. I would say there's two kinds of rewatchability. Something is more rewatchable because it's the easier rewatch, which is definitely Covenant. Covenant's definitely the easier rewatch for just what Matty had said. However, sometimes a movie like this type of movie, Prometheus, it's a movie you want to rewatch almost immediately because you're going to get more out of it every time you watch it. And there's there's mysteries to have. You have all these mysteries in your head. You're like, I want to go back and see if I can find any more evidence in my thought process. I want to see if there's things I can discover about this. Where is this going? I don't know. I need to see it. So I kind of feel like I have to give this to Prometheus. Even though Covenant is the easy one. Alien Covenant's one I'm going to sit down on the couch with the beer and go to sleep or whatever on a Saturday afternoon.
You go to sleep.
Oh no, yeah, I'll lazily watch it. You know what I mean? I'll kind of lazily watch it. But Prometheus is a kind of film you get more out of. I'm not going to get more out of Alien Covenant, honestly. I'll have a great better time. I'll have a great time like with the guests and the kills, but I get more out of rewatching Prometheus, I think. So Prometheus it is for me.
What
Jarvi,
Matty said
Jarvi.
is almost verbatim my notes. I think Prometheus to me is I'm going to say it again. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever made. It challenges me. It makes me think of new things. It makes me want to look for new things, just like you said. But my rewatch factor still stems to the fact that which one is the easier choice. And not to say that Covenant is just an easier choice. That movie keeps getting better and better with each rewatch.
That's a good point.
I feel like you could watch Covenant you can watch Prometheus without knowing anything either, but you can watch Covenant even without Prometheus. I know there's the David things in there, but it still works very well as a sci-fi horror movie. I think Covenant sort of is, if we're comparing it to the Star Wars franchise, Covenant is the Solo, a Star Wars story to me.
Okay.
It's the movie that if I really want to just put on a Star Wars movie, not think about the other ones, I put on Solo. I feel like this because Rogue One, I feel like it challenges me more. It's gonna freaking rip my heart out because of the ending. Solo is just a good time with awesome nuggets here and there, and exactly the same thing with Covenant. I feel like this is a good time. This is the rewatch. I'm picking Covenant.
All right. Well, I can't argue. I'm not going to yell and scream with this one. You're not going to be yelling and screaming at me because this is. I totally see both sides in any of these categories. I really could have.
I think PLD is an android.
Maybe I am.
He's an android. He killed the real PLD from last week.
Trevor, let's go. We have to go have sex. I'll prove it on that. Let's go.
I think PJ's the engineer.
That could be PJ being the engineer would be funny. Well, all right, then we have our victor. in quite a lopsided contest.
Strong victor.
A strong victor. It's a slightly lopsided contest. I didn't expect it to be so lopsided, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, the winner by a score of 10-4.
Oof.
Or did I get that right? 1, 2, 3,
10-4.
4, 6, 7,
Oh,
8,
you're
9,
pulling
11.
a Jarvi.
11. Sorry, I actually was miswriting. 11-4. 11-4.
Yeah, it's got to be 15.
Yes. That's why I stopped and see. I did it before you did, Jarvi. I did better than you did. At least I stopped and made sure I got it. Prometheus wins 11-4. How do you feel?
It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, Prometheus really, I feel like Prometheus is treading down the path of becoming a sci-fi classic. I think it really is. It has its haters, but it has a very strong sort of cult fan side of it as well.
No, I agree. I think that Covenant has a lot of haters, but I think if people give it a shot, they will go up in their estimation the more they watch it.
Oh, it's a good movie. It's a great movie.
I think Alien Resurrections, it gets a lot of hate. It has a lot of haters.
Will not. It won't. Matty, I just brought you back on. Don't make me go back. Prometheus.
I feel he's gonna find the sort of where you sort of need to stick the screwdriver to make you sort of just like Walter.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Leave us some comments on what you think. What do you think is the better one? Is it Prometheus or is it Covenant? And go by the categories. Let you know give us in the description which category, or in the comments rather, your choices for all 5 categories. You can find us here every week on Class Action, and we have a very special one next week for Richard-Erik Jarvi.
Yes.
Not for PJ Campbell. PJ will be nowhere near this one, I don't think. It is coming out. The Blue Men are back. So we are going to put up, and women, yes, Avatar versus Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
Jim Cameron.
Can I just say, James Cameron was on a UK morning news show the other day, and they were talking about Avatar 2. And they said to him, "Why blue? Why did you turn the colors blue?" And he was like, "Green was taken, purple was taken, blue was the only one that was left." Has this guy never watched the Smurfs in his life?
I'm not going to let her stand here for that Smurf erasure. What a question, though,
aliens?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's like a halfling race. I think it's like more fantasy halfling race kind of thing. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. I really never paid much attention to it growing up.
I am excited for the spectacle of Avatar 2. I'm looking forward to seeing the developments in the filmmaking that James Cameron will make.
Well, like I said earlier, I saw Avatar again last night, and I did like it more than I remembered. I did think it has some good moments. I'm interested to see how they bring Stephen Lang back after that.
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know. I haven't really read anything about it, so
I won't say either.
All right, fair enough.
How he's coming back.
Oh, okay. I've said the only thing I know about this film is that Sam Worthless is coming back, and that's his name. Yeah, that's his new name. Sam
hey man,
Worthless.
go what? You're not gonna get an argument. I mean, go watch The Shack. That ruined my Christmas last year.
He's one of my least favorite actors of all time, and that James Cameron's directing it, and it's on. It's blue people are there. That's all I know. I saw the trailer. That's it. The trailers, and I gotta say, the trailer really didn't do anything for me. Still, either of them. I'm sure it's going to be a spectacle. We'll go into more obviously next week, but we'll see. I'm going to keep an open mind now. I'm hoping that, because I've actually heard some reactions from people who I trust that were like me, that didn't really care about the first one. If they didn't like it, they just didn't care about the first one, and they went and saw the second one and were amazed by it and really can't wait to see it again. So maybe it's taking a great step forward. We'll have to find out and see. But yeah,
I'm hoping for big feels. So a lot of emotions is what I want. I want James to make me cry, like he did in Titanic, like he did in Avatar in some way. How he definitely did in The Abyss.
Yes.
I mean,
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I will give you that. So,
it's
all
gonna
right.
be amazing.
If you do want to hang out with us more, you can join Patreon at patreon.com/PLD Projects. You can have a great Facebook chat that never seems to stop talking. We have a lot of great conversations there. I'm not going to lie. You can join a bunch of us in there, like Daniel Ramirez, Brandon Buckingham, Brady Parker, Jeff Alterman, John Lestrina, Kelly W. I'm part of Jeff Sedason, as well as a few others. We really help keep the lights on.
PJ,
I really appreciate that. Yes, well, yeah, absolutely. Just throwing out there the patrons in there. there. And of course, we have some great shows on this channel and on all wherever you can find your audio feeds. This show will eventually be on the audio feed. I'm slowly catching up. I started a little bit late. We got this show. We got Two Mediocre Way to Use on Film, which is me and PJ every week talking about a movie in the franchise. We are just about to release Final Destination 3. Are looking into that film. That's going to go out on Thursday. Crown Jewels. This week we are talking about Flick of the Wrist on Crown Jewels from the Sheer Heart Attack album. And starting in January, well, not to now, we have a new podcast. Myself and Matty Gunner will be returning to the original Scoundrels content with a different title. The new title. Should I announce it here? Should I announce it? I'll announce it.
Have you got the graphic?
I don't have a good graphic.
Let's wait then. Let's
wait then. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll wait. We'll wait till we get the graphic
Let's
for it. Great Jacob Patrick is doing the designs for that. But that's it for now. Until next time, I'm happy to say justice has been served. And we'll be back next week, my friends. Stay thirsty.
Extra audio.
Extra audio because StreamYard decided to just be really slow about ending the broadcast.
So for next week,
What are you doing? Why are you still here? Go home.
Go home. Go home. All right. Well.
This is